Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed. Plus free premium delivery with any smart bed and adjustable base. Ends Labor Day. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Oh, hey.
Hey, thanks for meeting me here on such short notice. This place isn't bugged, is it?
Bugged? Wait, Jamie, what's going on?
It's just, you're my only lawyer friend, and I need your professional opinion. Do you see that brand new Hyundai Tucson out there?
Yeah?
That's all I paid for it.
I think I need to get back to you on that.
Do you know what you want?
Yeah, I do now.
Deal's so right, it almost feels wrong. Get the car or SUV you've always wanted, plus America's best warranty at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. The guilt is real, but so is the savings.
Listen, I don't want to get in your business, but if that's all she paid for it, I'll have what she's having.
It's a great day for a new Hyundai at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event going on now. Get 0% APR for 60 months, plus 0 payments for 90 days on all Hyundai Palisade, Santa Fe, and Santa Fe hybrid models. And check out our other great deals at your Hyundai dealer today. Offer ends September 2nd. Call 562-314-4603 for details.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday of game week. Hope your work week's off to a good start. We're fired up to be here. I hope you can tell that. We'll be here with you for the next 2 hours. Got Jacob Beck back in action and Paul O'Neill back in there on the ones and twos, and lots to do over the course of the next 2 hours. We're going to talk to Jeremy Burnham, doctor from Oxford, coming up in 45 minutes. Bryce Kuhn from On 3, the Bengal Tiger, going to be with us at 2 o'clock. We'll also have Denton Day at 2:30 in our normal Monday spot, resuming that because college football is underway. Had some action back on Saturday, and we will certainly get into the week to come with LSU and Clemson. Brian Kelly just finished up his Monday press conference, as is tradition on a game week, and I could not be more excited to be here and to get things cranked up. Beck, you sleeping okay back there? You ready to rock? You know where all the buttons are? It's been a minute.
I remember where they all are, yes.
Glad to hear that.
Didn't sleep a lot last night.
Okay. I slept great last night.
Oh, that's
amazing
good.
night of sleep.
Yeah, I'm happy for you.
I think I got like 9 hours.
Yeah, you've been here before, so you know.
I know well. Glad you're back. Glad everybody's with us. Glad to get going on a game week. Fired up to be here. Let's crank it up like we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
All right, let's talk some LSU football here on this beautiful Monday in the capital city. We got to go inside Tiger Stadium on Saturday night, and I was pretty excited to go in there. If you heard me on Friday, you heard that. I was confused, but I was excited. I was like, why in the world are we being allowed to watch the team practice 7 days before game day? Why are we going inside Tiger Stadium to see a scrimmage when they're this close to action? Like, we've never had this situation before. And things became pretty clear pretty quickly inside Tiger Stadium on Saturday. We weren't watching a scrimmage. We were watching a walkthrough. And that's fine. Like, I kind of had expectations of watching a scrimmage, which I thought was weird. It was a walkthrough because you're getting close to Clemson and you don't need to scrimmage. You've done your scrimmaging. The hay's in the barn on fall camp. LSU has emerged from fall camp relatively healthy, and what we saw on Saturday night was a walkthrough. They didn't tackle anybody. Garrett Nussmeier never threw a pass. You saw some scout team stuff. You saw some punt team. You saw one 5-minute period where all we watched for 5 minutes was whatever special teams unit it was, and there was no way for us to tell because they stood in a huddle 4 yards off the sideline. And they would yell out a name, and that guy would run off, and his sub would run on, just so they would know if you were in a special team spot and this guy can't go because his knee's dislocated or his helmet doesn't work, that who's next in. And we watched him do that for 5 minutes. So there wasn't a lot to glean from Saturday's workout. I thought the defense overperformed the offense. I thought the backup quarterbacks had a tough day. That's not new or news. It wasn't a big day for hot takes out there on Saturday night in Death Valley. At one point, we watched 18 periods. Around about period 12 to 13, as I'm still watching, I'm looking up and listening in the press box, and it was just, it sounded like a cocktail hour up there. Everybody's yapping, talking. Half the people aren't looking at the field. It was not a lot to be gleaned from Saturday's practice, and once again, that is okay. But one thing we did get from this weekend was that Garrett Nussmeier was given number 18. If you listen to the show, you follow us on social media, you know about a month ago, I did a segment suggesting, hey, I think it's time that a quarterback wear this number. It hasn't happened since Matt Mullock wore it. I think it's time to do that. Garrett Nussmeier embodies that number in multiple ways. One, he waited his turn. That doesn't happen very often in college football these days. You're on the bench in spring number 2, see ya. He didn't do that. He waited it out. He waited for Jaden Daniels to win his Heisman Trophy. And then he went out and played. And then you look at this past offseason. He could have been a first-round draft choice in the NFL. I don't think that is unreasonable to suggest with that class of quarterbacks that Garrett Nussmeier could have been in the first round, not the first pick, in the first round. Said, nope, I'm going to come back. So not only did he wait his turn, then he stayed. Neither of those things happens too often in this era of college football, but he did. And he's always been a really good leader. He's been a good leader from the bench. He's been a good leader when he's gotten his opportunity to start. And he was a great representative of LSU at SEC Media Days back in July. And again, I'm not going to make too big a deal out of it. I don't think that I'm going to sit here and go, oh, the leader, the quarterback's 18, best guy they got. You're not. I mean, the last time an 18 quarterback wore 18, they won the national championship with Matt Mullock. I'm not going there, but I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that you've got a leader on this football team that happens to be taking the snaps. And look, Joe Burrow didn't wear 18. He did all right. Jaden Daniels didn't wear 18. He did all right. So, again, that point remains. But Garrett Nussmeier embodies what that means. And what I'm taking from this has a little bit less to do with specifically Garrett Nussmeier. I think it probably has more to do with me looking at this going, you know, it's just a really good thing that your quarterback is thought of in that way by that room, by that coaching staff. I think that is a good thing. I think that's an inherent positive. And let me say this. I believe if LSU is going to accomplish its goals this year, and its goals have not been explicitly stated to us, but you understand what they are. The first goal is to go 1-0 and to beat Clemson, and then the goal is to make the playoffs here. There's obviously an SEC championship game that you'd like to play in and win. There's a national championship at the end of this line, which Brian Kelly mentioned today, like, this team wants to win a national championship. I want to win a national championship. That's great. The only way for this program to beat Clemson on Saturday, to win at least 10 games this year, to play for an SEC championship, to win an SEC championship, to make the playoff, to win a playoff game, to get to a national championship game, to win a national championship, the only way that works is if the new number 18 is a star. Now, let me say this. I believe LSU's defense is going to be great this year. Not good, great. And that's going to help. But in this day and age in college football, you can't do what Nick Saban was doing 15 years ago. You cannot have a defense that allows 8.1 points per game and runs it down people's throats and wins a bunch of games 24-7. Like, that doesn't play in this era of college football. You are going to have to make big plays down the field, score points, win games that are played in the upper 20s and 30s. And while we'll go through the course of this week, and I will suggest to you that I don't believe that this game on Saturday is going to be played in the upper 30s, you're going to have some of those this year. And I think LSU is going to go into many a fourth quarter this year. 5 of them, 7 of them this year, where you got to make some plays to win a game that is in the balance. I do not believe LSU is going to whitewash the field like they did in 19 or 11, where they just beat the brakes off everybody. You're going to get into some dog fights over the course of the next 3 months. And if your quarterback can't stare down 100,000 people, stare down an elite SEC defense, stare down 4th and 6, stare down 3rd and 11, and make some plays, you have no chance. And the number 18 is not going to make him make those plays. But this is just another data point when we're discussing this LSU football team is like, what are they going to be? What are they? You've got a really good player back there at quarterback who has the complete respect of that entire team and organization. And now he's got a number on his chest to represent that. And I think it's a cool story. And we won't know how that story ends until middle of December or hopefully the middle of January next year. But this is a footnote that could become a headline over the course of the next 3, 4, 5 months. And I thought it was really cool. I thought it was well earned. If they had gone with Whit Weeks, I would have thought it was great. He deserves it for sure. If they had gone with Jacoby and Guillory, I'd have said, great. Chris Hilton has a great story in Baton Rouge. But this made the most sense to me. So when I saw that on Sunday morning, I thought, I like it. I like that guy and that number. And it's wild to me that 21 players have worn that number since a quarterback last did. And that doesn't dismiss the work that Damone Clark or Kaylavon Chason did. Doesn't dismiss the work that Lloyd Cushenberry did. There have been plenty of really good players. Tre'Davious White was a heck of a player to wear that number. But I like it on my quarterback. I think that's a good thing. I called for it back in June, and it's been delivered here at the end of August. And now Gary Nussmeier will put on a new number as he gets ready to hit on that bus and head to Clemson, South Carolina. This is going to be an awesome week. That was a great start to it. I'm fired up to get into LSU football in 2025, and we will be knee-deep in it throughout the course of this week. Gary Nussmeier, number 18. That's your Genesis opening drive here on this Monday. Lots and lots to do. The Saints were on the field on Saturday. I have some thoughts on that. The Saints have made a lot of cuts today. Some significant, some very much expected. We'll talk about all of that as we move forward on this Monday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. How about America's best warranty? How about your powertrain warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles? How about the bumper-to-bumper warranty, 60,000 miles, 5 years? That's industry leading. How about the enhanced 24/7 roadside assistance, 5 years, unlimited miles? Complimentary scheduled maintenance. Not everybody going to give you that first 3 years of complimentary maintenance on your vehicle. How big a nuisance is it to bring your car in, deal with everything, feel like you're getting upsold half the time? That doesn't happen at Genesis Baton Rouge. They just take care of it. And if you want them to take care of it while you're still driving alone around and getting your day on, fine. They'll bring your car to you when it's done. It's part of the experience of being a Genesis driver. So go by and see them, Airline at PQ. Stop in the dealership. Tell them I sent you in. Say, hey, love to hear what y'all have to say and would actually like to get behind the wheel today. They will let you do that with one of their brand ambassadors. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go by and see them. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, Saints are going through some roster cuts. First wave is out, certainly not done at this point, and certainly very little that is really surprising to this point. There are a couple of note. Cam Akers, the running back who they brought in as a vet to compete, has been released. There's just not enough room in the end here for all these running backs. Kamara is the starter, clearly. Kendre Miller has established himself as the number 2 running back to this point. Kellen Moore kind of alluded to that today when he met with the media. But you still got a number of other players that are looking to find a roster spot. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a guy that's vested in the NFL, so would not have to clear waivers. They've got him still on the roster. Velus Jones, big speedster. They've got on the roster Devin Neal. They took a late round draft choice on, but really liked, but he missed a lot of camp due to injury. And you got Marcus Yarns, who I don't expect to be on the team, but Akers the only one to this point that we know of that's been released. That was of note because he's just a name. He was a big time recruit, great college player, and has been in the league most of his productivity time with the Rams. Look at punter, where you're going to have to make a decision, and the Saints are going to have a fourth punter in the last 4 years. They waived James Burnip today. That means that Kai Kroger right now is the leader to be the punter. He's the only one on the roster. Doesn't mean they can't add one tomorrow. If they bring one into the fold, we'll see. But Kai Kroger looks like he'll be the punter to this point. I'm continuing to go through this cut list. Jasheen Davis on the defensive line is a guy who had some flash in camp earlier. He's been waived. Kyle Hergel and Josiah Aziram on the offensive line. Two guys. Aziram was a late seventh-round pick last year, and Hergel, a guy that you thought potentially could help him on the interior. But those guys have moved on. Landon Young, unfortunately, carted off the field. Nothing with him from a roster perspective, but carted off the field in Saturday's game. You hated to see that. You look at tight end, Michael Jacobson and Seth Green have been waived. That brings Trayton Welch one step closer to potentially holding a roster spot with the team. He's had a really good season. Had a great catch in the second preseason game on a deep ball that Tyler Shuck threw. So we'll see if Welch can make the team right now while Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill are on the PUP list. That's kind of the newsworthy cuts. Certainly not all of them. There are plenty. And if you'd like to check that out as the day progresses, you can go to LouisianaSports.net and see our live tracker that is consistently updated with all the cuts that the Saints are going through today. Ross is staying up on that over at LouisianaSports.net. The biggest news today is the lack of news, and that revolves around the quarterback position. Kellen Moore met with the media today and said that the Saints have not made a decision. He said, quote, "It'll be soon, but they have not made a decision as of today with the starting quarterback." And I think the easy thing to do would be for me to get on here and go, they're just taking forever. What's the holdup? They've had an entire camp, 3 preseason games. Like, come on, make a call. You're just dragging your feet. And that would be an easy thing to do. I don't feel that way because, as I've said all along, like, I'm not in a rush. If the Saints want to look at a couple more practices, fine. Because I'm just not that concerned with who gets the most first-team reps at practice on Tuesday to make sure you're ready for the Week 1 opener a week from Sunday. Like, I'm not that concerned with it. My concern is evaluating things properly so that the right guy is getting reps. They're both getting some reps. They both played a significant amount in the preseason. Nobody's going to be grossly underprepared in the game against the Cardinals coming up next weekend. You look at what we saw on Saturday. Spencer Rattler started the game, 5 of 8, 43 yards, kind of piloted things along, took a sack, nothing completely glaring, and then Shuck took over and got a little bit more run, 12 of 20, 102 yards. And here's what I would say about the Saints quarterbacks in the preseason. Like, I think a lot of us hoped that you would see somebody absolutely take that bull by the horns in preseason. I have a hard time going back to a lot of examples of like great preseasons because it's just that, and they're pretty rare, and you don't take a ton from them. A lot of times you're facing second and third team guys. But like Dak Prescott had a balling preseason. Do y'all remember that? Like, he came in as a rookie, late round pick, and like he was playing in the preseason. And it was pretty evident, like, oh, this is going to be a guy that they're going to like lean on. This wasn't like some flyer pick. Like, it may have been at the time, but it progressed to like, oh, like this is a starter. And you never saw that type of thing from neither Shook or Rattler. And that's disappointing to an extent. It's not damning. It's not a crisis. It's disappointing. And I think if we had that expectation back in July, we may have been ambitious. Like, I'm pointing to myself there. I may have been ambitious with the thought that, oh, Rattler will come in and way outperform the rookie, or, oh, here comes the second round pick. Here comes the guy that Kellen Moore and this administration decided this is our group. This is our guy. This is going to be the ticket. And it just didn't happen. A lot of checkdowns, couple of mistakes, not a lot of big plays. I mean, the Saints didn't score a first half touchdown in the preseason. And that's when like most of your perceived roster pieces are out on the field. It took in the second preseason game until the fourth quarter to get a touchdown right at the end of the game. And the same thing happened again in this preseason game. So I don't think it's unfair to call it underwhelming. I think it would be unfair to call it, a disaster. But I don't think the Saints are playing the cards close to the vest. They're watching a lot of the same stuff that the media has watched in camp, that we've watched in preseason. Everyone's kind of assessing the same thing, and it's just kind of similar. Like both Shuck and Rattler are pretty good athletes. They both got pretty good arms. They've both made some pretty good throws. They've both made some head-scratching mistakes, and they're right there together. Like Jake Haener isn't really part of this deal, and he got to throw 9 passes on Saturday. But the guys you're really evaluating averaged 5 yards an attempt on Saturday. And the Broncos did play some of their first-team guys on defense early and then took those guys out, and you just didn't see a lot of oomph. I realize you're not playing a ton with the starters. Olave and Shaheed combined for 5 catches, and you're throwing to Jack Stoll and Marcus Yarns and Kevin Austin and Cedric Wilson and Dante Pettis, and that's not really the offense. And you'd like to get Trevor Penning back in there, and you'd like to get a lot of Eric McCoy, and we'll see what Foster Moreau can bring. And there's still some more to be added, and these guys are going to continue to get reps. I think you'll probably have a starter named by the end of the week. Kellen Moore said back over the weekend, this is not going to be one of those college football things where you find out who the quarterback is when they break the huddle. College coaches love that. That's not going to happen in the NFL. They're going to name their guy, and they'll likely, in my opinion, this is a guess, but it's a reasonable guess, they'll get the guy who will be the starter every first-team rep starting next Tuesday, next Wednesday. That's generally speaking how this thing will go. But I think the Saints are just taking their time. Now, if you want my opinion on this, I'll give it now. My opinion is start Rattler. I don't think it's going to go great. That's my opinion as well. I think that the Saints will struggle to score points. I think the Saints would struggle to score points with Tyler Shuck in there. I think you go with the veteran. You continue to let Tyler Shuck see what a Sunday's like in the league, see what it's like when all the bullets are actually flying, and it's not this preseason game where the 9th round draft pick. I realize there's only 7. That's the point of the hyperbole. The late round draft picks out there at safety who's about to get cut. I want the Pro Bowlers out there. Show me the real pass rushers. See what this really looks like when there's a mistake made. You got to come off the field and adjust to it. See what those in-game adjustments look like. See the entire process played out a couple of weeks. And if you've played 3 or 4 weeks and at that point you don't see much, okay, go with Shuck. If Rattler's conducting the offense well, play him. But you don't have to be in a rush. You don't have to get off to a great start this year. It's not mandatory. This is not the Bengals who are trying to shake free from the 1-4s. This is a team who's in search of its future. And its future, no matter how badly we want it to come quickly, is not coming a week from Sunday. That's not going to be the future. Over the course of the year, you might see it. 4 quarters, game week 1, no. So to me, I would go with Rattler. I would ease Shuck in a little bit later and continue to evaluate things as they come. It's more fun for us if they make the decision early and you see a bunch of highlight plays in preseason. It's not necessarily the most realistic thing, and it didn't happen. So you got to keep evaluating. I don't think that Kellen Moore is showing his inexperience. I don't think that he's showing the job's too big for him. I'm not wildly concerned about things. I just think that you've got 2 middling players right now who are playing middling football that are on level footing, and you're just going to have to make a decision here in the next few days. And I think they'll go with Rattler. I would go with Rattler. Would it stun me if it was Shuck? Stun's too stern a word. Mildly surprised? Sure. We'll see what they decide to do moving forward. The preseason is in the rearview mirror. Saints have 2 weeks to get ready for the first game. They'll have their roster and their practice squad here in the next few hours, and then you push off the dock and you go. So we'll see about the black and gold. If you're looking for Saints content, always invite you to head over to LouisianaSports.net. Ross Jackson does an awesome job covering the black and gold for us. He's got a lot of content up right now, including a cut tracker. And you can catch my stuff, Hunt on Saints, on YouTube, wherever you find your podcasts. When we come back, I'm excited about this segment. We talked to an LSU starter on Saturday. No, Friday. It's Friday afternoon. And I don't know if his answers or what I've seen on the practice field combined with his answers or what, but I have confidence that a breakout season is coming for this LSU player. We'll tell you who that is and let you hear from them next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. This is The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
To Dr. Jeremy Burnham coming up in 15 minutes. As I mentioned before, and I wrote this in my practice report, and I want to be very clear. Brian Kelly has dismissed any issue with Garrett Nussmeier. I don't know there to be any issue with Garrett Nussmeier. I think he's fine. I just thought it was weird, and I've never seen a quarterback not throw twice in a week at practice. Garrett was out there on Saturday doing all the work for the handoffs, running around, great spirits. Same thing he was doing last Monday, but no throws. And Brian Kelly said, yeah, he's on a pitch count. No big deal. But I just thought it was weird. And I wrote about it in the practice. I was like, I wish he was throwing a little bit. But Brian Kelly dismissed the whole thing. I just wanted Dr. Burnham's thoughts on keeping an arm fresh. And I realize that baseball and football are not the same deal. Pitchers need rest, and football throws a lot. In camp, you throw a ton. So just want his thoughts on that. We'll talk about it in about 15 minutes. But on Friday, we had player interviews. And, when you talk to the players, you kind of get a different perspective. And I'm thrilled that I can do that now with LouisianaSports.net. I hadn't really done player interviews from 2014 through 2023, which is 10 years of not doing player interviews. And I've got an opportunity to kind of get to, not to know some of these guys, that's a little strong when you're sitting there talking with 8 of the reporters with recorders in their faces, but just hear their perspective, get a sense on confidence, vibe, that kind of thing. And one of the guys I've really enjoyed from the spring into the fall talking to is Jack Pyburn. And he's just oozing confidence and determination. And you'll hear that in the bites that we play for you here. But I don't know if it's just that confidence that you get from listening to him talk that makes me think he's going to have a monster year. I don't know if it's the coupled with his practice or his demeanor out on the field. I'm not sure. I just sense Pyburn is about to explode. I think he's going to have an awesome year. And so here's some of the sound we got from him back on Friday evening. And the first kind of talked about why he left Florida, and it had to do with kind of the role that he played there.
It takes a lot of work, man. And it's also just the mind. There's nothing more powerful than the mind. And when you're kind of in a mindset that you're defined as something, it's kind of hard to break out of that. And that's a big reason why I felt like I needed to get away from the situation that I was in, because mentally I felt like I was stuck, that I was a run defender and I was this and that and I wasn't that athletic. And it's not the truth. The truth is what I make it. And that's really something that I've honed in on. And every single goal that I've set for myself, I have met every single one of them. And I'm just looking forward to continuing to meet every single goal on the field this year.
He talked about his role in Florida's defense and that he was dropping about a third of the time, and that sometimes he was coming off the field on third downs, and he was just kind of being keyholed as a run defender. And he's very good at defending the run. He had 60 tackles last year. For perspective, that's 20 more than Savion Jones had last year. Savion Jones was a starter for LSU and went in the third round of the draft. Pyburn had 30% more tackles than Savion Jones did. And I think he just got frustrated with that and wanted to show he could do more. So he's come to LSU with a huge chip on his shoulder as to what he's going to become in this defense. And Blake Baker's defense is part of the reason that Pyburn wanted to come. And Jack talked about the style that Blake Baker wants this team to play with.
Aggressive. Yeah, I think that's the best thing and the most fun part about playing defensive end under his scheme is we're mostly a 4-down team. We have some 3-down, throw it in, but it is about being attack and being upfield, creating havoc, TFLs, and that's honestly another big part of why I wanted to come to LSU. My previous school, we played a lot of 3-down defense. I was a lot of times boundary end, dropped like 33% of the time ish, around there, and it's just not exactly what I wanted to do for my skill set. I think I can do everything, but I feel like I was best utilized to be coming hard off the edge and playing aggressive, playing fast, using my physicality, my speed, and letting it be my advantage.
Let me tell you, this dude is strong as an ox. I mean, he is strong. You can see him at practice. He's tough to block. He has no problem absolutely getting right into the face mask of a 320-pound offensive lineman. He's a wild man on the field. And you see that at practice, and you will see that on the field. But he's also, like we just talked about and have harped on, like he feels like there's more for him to show. And he kind of spoke about the versatility in his game.
Yeah, we have different packages for, second and long packages, third and medium packages. They move me around 3-tech, 2-eye, to get those one-on-ones on guards, because fast, physical, strong. I can catch a double team if I need to. I just feel like all the different positions I've played over my college career have just kind of prepared me for this moment and to be such a versatile player and be ready to be thrown in any situation and be able to be successful and thrive.
You'll see Pyburn all over the place. We've talked about this a lot, but Pyburn is a defensive end. And he will play defensive end a lot. I think he'll start there on Saturday. But there are packages that LSU will run that move him inside, as he mentioned there. And he'll get in there with Bernard Gooden, and they will be interior pass rushers that can really cause some bigger guards problems with their quickness. And they're both physical, but they're quick. And we've seen Pyburn kind of playing everywhere. Now, back in the spring, I remember us talking to Pyburn, and one of the things he was really, really honing in on was the pass rush aspect of this. And y'all know that Kevin Peoples took Braden Swenson from a guy that had totaled 5 sacks in 4 years in college and got him to 8.5 his final year. Savion Jones had not been a behind-the-line impactful player at LSU. He was last year in terms of TFLs and sacks, and he got picked in the 3rd round. And Pyburn has been working tirelessly on his pass rush ability. And that goes back to January. We're now 8 months later, and he feels like he's a different player, and he talked about that.
My pass rush is completely different than it's ever been. I think a big part of that is just how much more athletic I am now than I've ever been. I'm way faster, I'm stronger and twitchier than I've ever been. I've built the lower body strength that I've needed, squatting damn near 600 pounds and, running close to 21 miles an hour, which is over a mile an hour faster than I was in my previous school. All those things help. And then when you get a coach that really can hone in on your exact skill set, not just a basic idea of it, exactly what I need to be a successful pass rusher and, the angles that I need to take, the tracks that I need to take, it's been amazing, the progress that I've made. I'm just thankful for it.
They have a pass rush specialty for each player built into stride length, speed, first 5-yard speed. All these things create the fastest track to a quarterback in a 3-step, a 5-step dropper out of the shotgun. Like they have literally mapped this out in terms of the geometry and then worked on that. Like this is all part of Jack Marucci's deal. This is all part of Kevin Peoples' deal. And Jack Pyburn has taken this very much to heart. And I think you're going to see a guy who had 1 sack total in his time at Florida. 1. You're going to see him 5, 6, 7 sacks this year. I'm just telling you. It is coming. I am buying all the Jack Pyburn stock that you have. And again, we talked about his mindset. He's a wild man. And he mentioned like kind of flipping into season mindset as opposed to off-season training and improving mindset.
I think it just helps when you've been there and done that. This is my 4th year in college football. I know what to expect. I know what I'm looking forward to. And honestly, I've just put in so much work over the past 8 months now that I'm just been prepared for this moment. So, everything I feel like I take every single day to heart and, every single day matters, every play matters, every opportunity matters. So that's the way I've taken it. It's kind of made everything go faster, but in a good way.
Can y'all just hear that in his voice? Like, he speaks so matter-of-factly. He speaks so confidently. He speaks in detail. You heard him earlier in the cut saying he dropped 33% of the time. You heard him talk about the track to pass rush. You heard him talk about squatting 600 pounds, running 21 miles an hour, 1 mile an hour faster than he was. there's such an attention to detail. There's such a passion. There's such a motivation. There is such a confidence in Jack Pyburn that is infectious when you're sitting there talking to him. As he's talking, I'm sitting there going, I mean, this guy's just going to dominate. And I fully understand that part of that is just recency bias and that experience like that I'm having where you hear him say that and you just tend to believe it. It's just more powerful than watching highlights and seeing what kind of a player he is. You hear what goes on to get to that point. And it's interesting to hear to me. Now, the other piece to this puzzle for Pyburn is that LSU brought in 2 other Power 4 transfer ins. They brought in Jamari Butler and they brought in Patrick Payton. And Gabe Relaford's coming back. There's a lot of depth here. I'm not mentioning Dylan Carpenter in that depth to this point. You can put Kalaj Cobbins down there as well. Like, they've got significant depth on the edge on defense. And you can look at that one or two ways. Like, it's competition, guys you've got to beat out, or depth to keep you fresh. And ultimately, it's both. But it's something that you're going to see from this LSU team. They're going to continue to cycle guys in and out. And Pyburn spoke to the depth that they've got on the line.
Part of the reason that, we're going to have a special room is the depth that we have. We're going to have guys that have played a lot of ball and are going to be ready to play a lot of ball. And that's why it's good. We've worked, both boundary and field end, different combos, missing and matching, because there's going to be times in games where some guys are going to be on, some guys aren't. So it's been good, but I feel really good about our room, the best I've ever felt.
Best he's ever felt. I believe that. Best I've felt about LSU's defensive line group in 6 years. Now, here's an answer that he gave about one of the guys in that group, and it's Gabe Relaford. And I'm just going to throw a guess out there, just a wild guess. My guy, Corey Diaz from USA Today Network, from Daily Advertiser, probably, just guessing, going to write a feature on Gabe Relaford because my guy's been asking everybody about Gabe Relaford, as a good reporter would do. And he asked Jack Pyburn about Gabe Relaford, and he got a pretty passionate answer.
Yeah, that guy is a freak. That dude is athletic. He is strong, physical, and violent, and he's going to be a really good player for us this year. I'm really excited to play alongside him and be able to watch him, and it's going to be fun.
Pyburn would elaborate on his get-off, his ability to get up the field, the quickness that he's got, and that's all evident that we've seen from Relaford in his high school highlight tape and then the time that he saw on the field last year. Had a big play against Oklahoma in the game last year. It's a good unit. And if y'all remember, I ranked the position groups. I put defensive end 1 ahead of wide receiver, where they got like 8 guys that can play, ahead of quarterback, where they've got preseason All-American. I think they're going to be excellent on the edge, and Pyburn is a huge part of that. Maybe I'm buying into something just because he's selling it to me when I'm recording, but I bought it, and we'll see coming up on Saturday night. You're facing 2 veteran Clemson tackles that have played a lot of football. I'll talk about that in the second hour, but I think Pyburn's going to have a monster year. So that's Jack Pyburn, Florida transfer on the edge. So all that sound, I've got a feature up from Saturday or Sunday, one of the 2 days over this weekend. They all kind of run together over at LouisianaSports.net. You can read that if you'd like for free at LouisianaSports.net. All right, our auction segment with Dr. Jeremy Burnham. Let's talk a little Garrett Nussmeier and why he's not throwing footballs at practice when we're there. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If this sounds familiar, you may need to make a phone call to David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets. Like, he's working right now on a lot of homes that were built right around 2000. If your home, whether you built it or you moved in just a few years ago, was built in 2000, 2002, 2004, and you feel like the bathroom has been in that state for 25 years, that's about the time when you need to probably look into making some changes. Things start to falter, rust, malfunction. That stuff can happen over the course of time. And if that's the case for you, don't just call the handy guy down the street to come in, pay him some cash, and he's out of there in 3 hours. Let David Duvall and his team come in and make it right. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Whether it's a full installation of a new bathtub, new shower, they can do that. Whether they're just pulling out some of that framing and replacing it with new, they can do that as well. They've got a master plumber on site. If it's in the bathroom, they can handle it at One Bath and Closets. Check him out online, onebathandclosets.com. Get that free consultation today. Let David come in and look. He can probably tell you what needs to be done in that bathroom, and he's happy to do it. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find him online at onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up hour number one here. It's not just LSU that is cranking up action in the 2025 football season this weekend. A lot of high school teams with their jamborees coming up this weekend. So an exciting time down here in South Louisiana. Time for Sports Health, presented by Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Always a pleasure to be joined by Dr. Jeremy Burnham, the Medical Director of Sports Medicine and Section Head of Orthopedic Surgery over there at Ochsner. Joins us now on Jim's Firearms Hotline. Dr. Burnham, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's certainly our pleasure. This is a question I think that is probably based in very little, but I'm just curious your thoughts and if y'all see some of this. Garrett Nussmeier has not thrown a football in the last two practices we've seen back last Monday and on Saturday. Brian Kelly said, no issue. We just have a pitch count for our quarterbacks. He's a starting quarterback. We just don't think that the extra throws are necessary. I realize that we talk about arm care and arm safety a ton in baseball. Pitchers need rest, kids being overused, that type of thing. In football, do y'all see that where quarterbacks need some rest?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something to think about. And I think any athlete that is doing the same motion over and over again, they are at risk for an overuse injury. And so it's a little bit different with quarterbacks than pitchers. Pitchers tend to throw through the same arm slot or very similar arm slot over and over. When you're throwing football, that arm slot varies a little bit more. And so that's why we don't see exactly the same in terms of pitch count. But absolutely, it makes sense to limit your athletes that are doing the same thing, whether you're a kicker or whatever it is. You need to get the reps in practice, but you also need to give that body time to recover and, really want to peak at the right time and be at your optimal performance at game time.
I know everybody's kind of excited for football here, and it's cranking up now. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to let people know where they can go. Injuries happen during football, whether it's youth football, high school football, and I know y'all are always available over there at Ochsner, especially over there at Elite as well with weekend hours. So if you could kind of let the folks know where they can go. Maybe something doesn't happen on the field, but the next day you wake up and go, that may not be right.
Yeah, that's right, Hunt. So we try to make it as easy as possible. We have a philosophy that we try to meet our patients where they are. We have a walk-in clinic over here just on the edge of campus on Burbank that's at our new Ochsner Andrews Elite Sports Medicine Complex. And we have a walk-in clinic there 7 days a week. And so you don't have to have an appointment. You can actually just come in. You can also call ahead and let people know that you're coming. Our main focus over here is injury prevention. And so we put a lot of our time into trying to keep people from getting injured at all. We work with our partnered high schools and patients of ours and just general community members to do that. But certainly if something does happen or there's a question, we do have this walk-in clinic that's available 7 days a week.
You mentioned that, and you mentioned high school football a little bit earlier. The Red Stick Rumble's coming up. That's a pretty good group of teams that y'all have got playing on Thursday and Friday. I know y'all are excited about it.
Yeah, look, we're really excited about it. We've got some great games. So on Thursday, we've got Dunham playing U High at 6 p.m., and then Parkview playing Bruley High School at 7:30 p.m. So a good doubleheader there. And then on Friday, Catholic High and Madison Prep playing. And, this really signals the start to what is always a great high school football season. We're excited about that. Parkview's got a great facility over there with good turf and good stadium. And it's always a good jamboree. So.
Well, you were a letter winner in football for LSU. Tigers going to Clemson coming up on Saturday. How are we feeling about Saturday? How are we feeling about the team this year?
Look, I'm feeling great about it. I think we're going to have an elite team this year. I'm really excited about it. I think we're just building on the success we've had last year. Had some additions, and it sounds like the players that have been there have also improved and built upon what they did in the past. So this is going to be, I think, a great LSU football season, and it starts this weekend.
Can I ask you a big picture question on training camp as it relates to the NFL and of course college? Like, we watched Brian Kelly's camp this year. A lot of time indoors, a lot of days off, no 2 days, which you can't do anymore, a lot of days with no practicing. Do you feel like that's a big help when it comes to the health of teams? Because LSU is, Brian Kelly said they expect everybody ready to go on Saturday. That's pretty rare, and was certainly rare during the Les Miles days. What's your thought as a doctor about teams getting ready for a season that way?
Yeah, I think we've learned a lot in terms of injury prevention and just optimal health. Obviously, we come from an era where you would do 2-a-days all the time. You didn't have water breaks, and it seemed like it made a lot of sense back then. And maybe from a mental toughness standpoint, there was something to that. But certainly, you ended up with a lot more injuries. These seasons are stretching out longer and longer as well. So you're trying to keep people healthier for longer, and I think that's very important. So we've learned a lot about heat. We've learned a lot about repetitions. We have an indoor facility over here at our elite training complex. A lot of the high school teams have started utilizing that just so that they can get out of the heat, but still get some consistent reps. And so as we learn more about human performance, human longevity, I think we'll see a shift more to being a little bit more smart with how we practice and how we prepare.
Dr. Burnham, we appreciate some time. Enjoy the football Thursday and Friday at the Red Stick Rumble. Tigers on Saturday, and we'll talk in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Hunt. Talk to you soon.
He's Dr. Jeremy Burnham with Auction. Look, heat-related injuries, still a big thing. If you sense any of the symptoms commonly related to heat exhaustion, whether it's lack of sweating, whether it's weakness, fatigue, all those type of things, immediately stop physical activity. Make sure to stay hydrated as well. The folks at Auctioner want you to know about that. Still very hot, even though a bunch of the country's getting a cool front that's coming through. I looked at the extended forecast. I don't see a cool front for us. All the highs look to be in the low 90s as far as I can see. So if you're out there exercising, if you're playing football or whatever, make sure to try to stay hydrated as best as possible. The folks at Auctioner want you to know that. All right, that's it for hour number one. Fast moving hour number one here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Talk some LSU football from Saturday. Talk Saints cut day as well. Hunt on LSU, Hunt on Saints, up and running wherever you find your podcast. If you just want those quick segments, 10, 12, 15 minutes, Saints, Hunt on Saints, LSU, Hunt on LSU. Talk some Jack Pyburn as well in the second hour. We're going to talk to Bryce Kuhn and Denton Day. Also, go into some numbers about Clemson. It's time to start prepping for that opener. We'll do that after our national headlines. Bryce Kuhn from On 3 coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First, got to tell you about the Highland Insurance Group. HighlandIG.com is that website. Captive's just a big deal. Not every broker is capable of handling a captive or understands how to handle a captive. They can at the Highland Insurance Group. They're an independent broker. They've got contracts. They've got captive access. And if you're a sizable company here in the state of Louisiana that's looking for a creative solution to your risk management that directly affects your bottom line, this may be something for you to look at. If your broker hasn't shown it to you, might need to call the Highland Insurance Group. Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group deal with captives every single day. Whether it's a captive that is all your industry or one that handles different industries, it may be a fit for you. If you're looking for a creative solution to risk management and want to take a different approach, the Highland Insurance Group can help you out with it. Check them out online at HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group right here in Baton Rouge. They're online at HighlandIG.com.